Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here.
Jason.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. Welcome to Real Terror Month, a series where we discuss movies that will send chills down your spine. On today's episode, we'll be taking a look at Beetlejuice. The spirits of a deceased couple are harassed by an unbearable family that has moved into their home and hire a malicious spirit to drive them out. So, John, this movie's old as us, right?
That's right.
Yeah. 31 years old.
It's a classic.
30th anniversary just was around the corner just recently for this movie. I'm going to come out and say it. This is my favorite Tim Burton movie. Even more so, and I'm a huge proponent of Nightmare Before Christmas, but I would think this is probably his best movie.
Yeah, I'd go with the other one, but
That's
I like
okay.
this one.
Hey, you're
up at the top.
You're entitled to your wrong opinion, as I famously like to say. This movie's near perfect for me in every way, shape, and form. We just got to start off right at the bat. The cast. All right, you have
Amazing.
An all-star cast. Tim Burton assembled a cast that, Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton is an interesting, versatile actor. He can be very serious. He can be this crazed, lunatic, phantom ghost man thing. Poltergeist. His mood turns on a flip of a coin. He can just snap it on and off. And even though Beetlejuice is only in this movie for 15 minutes, those 15 minutes are the strongest 15 minutes I've seen in a character in many films that I've watched. Beetlejuice just stands out ridiculously in this movie.
Great 15 minutes of Beetlejuice.
Right, and he's just
He's so iconic, too.
Iconic, everything from almost all his dialogue in general is just straight out iconic and memorable.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
From his, speech in the cemetery.
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
And just the one-liners he swings at them. Michael Keaton has even said many a times that this was his favorite film he's ever been in. And it shows, because he's having the time of his life in this movie, and you're right there for it every step of the way.
Well, yeah, and the best part is when they're talking and they're saying, "Well, how do we know that you could be scary?"
What I mean is, can you be scary?
Oh, I know you're asking me. Can I be scary? What do you think of this? You like it?
And that part's just absolutely amazing, too.
Yeah, his face is like, and they start freaking out. Love it. It's just, again, such an iconic, all his roles, his mannerisms, is just, everything he does is near perfect. I don't know what else to say. I think he's perfect as Beetlejuice.
Classic Beetlejuice.
Even that, you have Alec Baldwin playing Adam and Gina Davis playing Barbara. Amazing actors in their own right. Not a huge fan of Alec Baldwin, but gotta give him credit. I thought he did pretty good in this movie. Even Gina Davis is a great actress as well. But, they're very young here, and they're astoundingly relatable couple, right? I do feel like they feel like they're truly in love, and I feel for their struggle about being recently deceased and dealing with this family that's moving into their house.
God, this book is so stupid. I can't understand anything in it.
Barb, honey, we're dead. I don't think we have very much to worry about anymore.
Really see the character again. Maybe they don't have any standout moments per se. The only thing I would say is maybe when they misshapen their faces to look scary later on in the movie. That's a very iconic scene where he's got the long nose with his eyeballs on his fingers. She's got her eyes with her jaw stretched open. Again, very iconic scene, but overall really good performances. Again, just I wouldn't even say maybe I shouldn't even say very good performance, just very relatable performances, which is what you needed to feel sympathetic for these characters.
Well, yeah, I feel like the casting choices for each one of the characters was done very well, and I don't feel like any of these people in this movie like casted it in or just like said,
Oh no,
whatever,
I mean,
I don't care.
we have the queen herself, Catherine O'Hara, playing Delia, the stepmom. That woman, I mean, if any of you have seen Schitt's Creek, she's also in Nightmare Before Christmas. She's she plays Sally. She's that voice actor for Sally. She also sings for Sally. She has an amazing singing voice, and also she's in the mom from Home Alone. So I mean, come on. But no, Catherine O'Hara. She has my favorite scene with her in this movie is when she's talking to Charles and Otho's there with her, which I love those characters too. But she's like, if you don't let me do what I want to do in this house, I'm gonna go crazy and I'm gonna take you with me.
I'm here with you. I will live with you in this hellhole, but I must express myself. If you don't let me gut out this house and make it my own, I will go insane and I will take you with me.
And it's just like her snap and like craziness in her eyes, just like, oh my god. You just see Charles, played by Jeffrey Jones, just being that guy like, oh, okay, I guess we can work with you there,
Yeah, well, maybe the house could use a little remodeling, but...
just like Catherine O'Hara, she just brings the crazy, and I'm all there for it. The wit, the crazy, she's got it all in one package there.
Definitely.
And then Jeffrey Jones plays Charles, who plays her husband. I think he has a subtle performance in the movie. He's famously known, at least for me, he plays Ed Rooney in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I think, again, another iconic movie I'm sure we'll cover on this channel. But I just love his whole, like, I just want to relax, and there's a couple scenes where he's trying to relax and he just, like, bugs out. Absolutely love it. I love his like subdued to, a man on the edge who just wants to chill out. You also have the very lovely Winona Ryder, who plays Lydia. Again, very young in this movie. Winona Ryder, most famously for you youngins there. She's the mom in Stranger Things. She has a very strong performance, right? This is a typical Tim Burton character, I would argue. Someone who's very dark and depressed.
What do you think, honey?
Delia hates it. I could live here.
She looks like she comes right from the Addams Family.
Like a goth, like literally like the goth, the goth girl you'd see like shopping around Hot Topic. But I think there's a little more dimension there. But still, she plays the performance genuine, and when
Old Hot Topic.
And she can show the range too, though. But she can show like when she's mad at Adam and Barbara because she thinks they're the ones that scared her parents. She thought they were the snake that was Beetlejuice.
For your daughter, Chuck.
She just shows that, like, I hate you, and you're like, what did you do that for?
Beetlejuice!
Oh, no!
Why are you doing this? Leave me alone, all of you!
Again, I think she has a stronger performance than a lot of people would give her credit for.
Yeah, definitely.
Not even that. Then we have Otho, who is an amazing actor. A lot of these people are that Tim Burton likes to use, so you've seen them in many of his other movies. He's famous he's the mayor, Nightmare Before Christmas, Otho, but Otho just has like some of the best lines.
Paranormal, is that what they're calling your kind these days?
Don't mind her. She's still upset because somebody dropped a house on her sister.
He has some just some silly lines, and again, this movie has a lot of wit and humor. The humor hits every time, and I think that's probably my biggest compliment to this movie. Almost all the scenes are funny or memorable, right? There's rarely a line that goes by that you don't want to just recite right away, or look at a friend next to you and just go oh shit, that was funny as hell. This movie just has it, even to at this point. In its lifespan in 2020, a film from 1988 still holds up extremely well. Another thing, I want to go into the overall plot. So this is an interesting movie as far as plot, right? Usually when you have a haunting movie, it's about the ghosts haunting the people. In this case, it's more about the people moving into that house. They're kind of haunting the ghosts. So they're kind of flip-flopping the script a little bit on the what would be the usual story, right? I think that's a really fun, interesting take where the people are the ones that are the pests, not so much the ghosts.
Well, and also it's interesting, like the ghosts are trying to learn how to become ghosts. You see throughout the whole entire movie that they're really trying hard to like become like a ghost.
We just have to pray the other closets are bigger than this one. Ooh, look.
They don't want to be at all. They're not meant to be at all. They're not meant to be scary.
Well, it also is funny too how you think about like these two characters before they died, how they were like just seemed like people that like to be alone, just them two together alone and stuff. Right. And now it seems like when they died, that's really all they really wanted to still be was just alone and in this house.
Yeah, it's funny that you have, they introduce the character of Beetlejuice as essentially the exterminator, right? He's the extreme exterminator to rid the humans of the household.
Yee-hoo! Having trouble with a living? You tired of having your home space violated? You want to get rid of them pesky living critters once and for all? Well, come on down and see me, folks, because I'm the afterlife's leading bioexorcist. Yes, sir is. Come on down here, and I want to tell you, I'll do anything.
So he's that like twist factor that just gets injected into this already interesting story, and he just brings all kinds of level of craziness to it. Essentially, I feel like that's just like Tim Burton just saying, I want to make this movie as crazy as I want, so here's my X factor. This is the character I'm throwing in. And again, Michael Keaton, like we said earlier, delivers on that in every way, shape, and form. Another huge thing for me is just, if you've seen a Tim Burton film, you know his visual style. And I think this movie, maybe more than anything else, again, Nightmare Before Christmas is arguable, and also Edward Scissorhands, I would argue too. But I think Beetlejuice is the best of all those worlds put together. It still has a splash of normalcy to it, where you still feel like you're entrenched in the real world a little bit, just enough. But even like the makeover to the house, to make the house look all crazy, and like the walls are like a granite gray, which is like the ugliest sin color I could possibly imagine. Everything feels like B-movie tacky visuals, right? All like the colors, the costumes, everything's just over the top for no reason. One of my favorite scenes is the waiting room, when Barbara and Adam go to get help in the underworld, right? They go to the waiting room, and they have to wait to meet with their counselor. They're waiting in the waiting room, and you just have these like, they could have just been like normal people sitting waiting, but Tim Burton's like, no, that's too boring. I'm gonna have a guy who has like a bone stuck in his throat, a guy with a shrunken head, a woman who was like part of a magic act and she's sawed in half, and not even the fact that they're just strange looking, is that they're over the top as far as the color palettes and just everything. Even Beetlejuice's costume, right? He gets the prison stripes later on. I guess it's inferring like he's a prison to the whole thing, but that suit's iconic. And the makeup work in general is, I can't tell you, the practicalness of this movie is beautiful. I mean, everything, all the makeup is absolutely perfect in this movie.
I also just like the fact when they're going to meet with that lady for the first time, like they forget their book, and then everybody kind of looks at them like, how'd you forget your book? Like, come on, get with the program. And like as they're walking through, like you see so many different things, and it kind of looks like how I feel like you were trying to picture of like what an afterworld like office would kind of look like.
Right.
This is kind of like what you would think about. Like I felt like in a very good way.
Yeah, I thought the joke with like, what if you commit suicide, you become a civil servant?
You know what they say about people who commit suicide? In the afterlife, they become civil servants.
I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. They have some jokes about that, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. If nothing else, Tim Burton's style is unmistakable, and again, in my firm opinion, I think this is the strongest it's ever been, was in this movie. Just from the world building, like the Handbook of the Recently Deceased was a great addition.
Handbook for the Recently Deceased.
It was fun to like introduce the characters to that, and the audience too. It was like, okay, you're dead, here's a book, figure it out. You're a ghost now. Again, just very, you can argue they're simple, but they're very effective tools that Tim Burton utilized in this movie. Also, the use of practical, I think, is amazing in this movie. Again, all the makeup is phenomenal. I can't really praise it enough. A lot of the the effects are practical, even from, just the Beetlejuice costume when he has the carousel on his head and he has like the inflatable mallet hands.
Step right up, test your strength.
All practical, which, some may argue it looks a little cheesy. I don't. I can always appreciate that. I think that's why I think this film holds up a lot stronger, because of all that practical usage. Another interesting aspect I don't see many people talk about with Beetlejuice is it's a movie, it deals with a serious subject matter, right? I think it deals with depression pretty interestingly. Lydia never flat out said, but she essentially is suffering from a pretty strong depression in her life.
I am alone. I am utterly alone.
She doesn't know what to do with her existence. She hates everything around her. Parents don't really care. She does have this lingering depression, and there's a line in this movie which I thought it was kind of touching in a strange way. Barbara just tells her, she's surprised when she finds out that Lydia wants to commit suicide, and she says to her, even if you die, that's not going to solve all your problems.
No, Lydia, we're dead.
I want to be dead too.
No. Lydia. Being dead really doesn't make things any easier.
It's just kind of an interesting take where, that Tim Burton kind of plays on that aspect, which I wouldn't expect in this movie, especially for how playful and funny it is.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a movie that would have put something so serious in it.
No, it has again, I don't think it's super strong, but it's in there, and I'm surprised more people don't talk about it. It's just you should live your life. Death isn't the answer. If anything, death's more of an inconvenience of anything else in this movie. Again, I can't sing the praises of this movie enough. This movie is for real an instant classic to me, especially in the 80s. This was this is ahead of its time. I think even more. I think this movie's just aged like a fine wine over time. It gets better every time I watch it. Another amazing thing, of course, would have to be the soundtrack. We can't forget about the now, I would argue, maybe the overplayed Danny Elfman scores that we hear in every single Tim Burton movie. In other movies, for that matter. In this movie, though, that Tim Burton Beetlejuice score, perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Definitely.
And not even that, we have the Day-O song and Jump in the Line, which are probably iconic for this movie. The Day-O scene, I don't know how, you have no soul if you can't get a chuckle out of that scene.
It's cute, Delia.
Where they just start dancing out of nowhere, doing the whole thing.
Hide the deadly black tarantula.
That's probably one of my. That might be arguably my favorite scene from this movie. It's up there.
Definitely.
Just having them dancing, and it's so creative. Everything about this is, Tim Burton. Over time, I feel like I don't know if he's fallen off, but I feel like his creativity is kind of streamlined. This was him at his best. This is where he's like, all right, this is all my tools, everything I got in my toolbox. I'm going to let out all my crazy thoughts. And this movie is the perfect, encapsulation of all of that.
100% agree.
A couple fun facts, though, like I said, it's interesting because, like I said earlier, Beetlejuice is only in this movie for 15 minutes. That's not a very long time for the character. Now, do you think he should have been in the movie more?
No, I think he was.
You think it was just enough?
Yeah, I feel like even if I would say I would want him in it more,
yeah,
I feel like maybe that would change the movie though. And I feel like he was in it just the right amount of time, which made the movie what it was. And it's an amazing movie.
And it's funny because the movie's about an hour and a half long. So he's only in 15 minutes of your movie, and your movie's named after him. That's a pretty ballsy move. But again, Michael Keaton just carries that performance, and not even just him, but everybody I feel like carries this movie. Overall, the story is very engaging and interesting throughout. But it's kind of like I always say, I would compare it to maybe like the Joker in The Dark Knight. You're waiting for that next scene, right? You're on the edge of your seat. So sometimes less is more, and I think that this is a good example of that. Maybe if you had more Beetlejuice, he might have came off maybe more annoying. I could see that. I don't think he is now, but maybe more of him might have been just a little too much for me.
Yeah, no, maybe he could have become less iconic than what he is now. Like, I feel like he was in it the perfect amount.
The name in the movie is spelled Betelgeuse. Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
But the problem is, marketing didn't think that was a good idea, so they had him change. It stays that way in the movie, but for marketing purposes, they changed it to Beetlejuice.
Beetle fruit, beetle breakfast, beetle drink, beetle beetle juice.
Yes, that's it.
Name's Beetlejuice.
Because it was easier to market, and it's more of like a comedy look for the movie, which I always confused me as a kid when I saw the two. I'm like, oh, it's Beetlejuice. Why does it say Beetlegeist? Or why is it spelled that way when it's spelled differently? I don't think I still have a clear answer on that. I guess it was just the marketing, but it always makes me chuckle a little bit. So I guess it did its job. I remember it.
That's all that matters.
Right. And also, this is also the 10th highest grossing film of 1988, which I think is interesting as well.
10th?
10th highest grossing film of 1988. So that's pretty good to be in the top 10. 88 was a good year. We would know. We were born then. And it's also interesting, this movie never got a sequel, which I know they've talked about it. I don't know if it just never came along. I know they've asked, Tim Burton's kind of been like dodgy, like, oh, I'm doing it, I'm not doing it. Michael Keaton's always said he's up for it. It just kind of never materialized. But even more so than that, there's other things Beetlejuice has been involved with, right? We've seen a Broadway adaptation, which I've never seen, but I heard was interesting, doing the times now. I don't think Broadway's not readily available to us, but, again, I heard that was an interesting adaptation. I remember from being a kid, the animated series. I definitely remember watching that when I was a kid. They had the animated Beetlejuice show, which kind of takes like a different take on the story. Beetlejuice is kind of a good guy, and he's friends with Lydia, and they go on adventures and stuff like that. I just remember the opening. The opening was like the theme song from this movie, and it had like a hyper stylized intro and stuff.
Beetlejuice!
It's showtime! I remember that. I used to watch that pretty religiously when it was on TV. I haven't watched it recently, but I did enjoy it. Also, right, Beetlejuice is a famous theme park attraction now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Halloween Horror Nights, right? He's part of that. He's been ingrained, I think, in the lore of Universal Studios Park. He was there like during they had like a monster like mash show, and he's always there in the park. He's still there, I think, as far as I know. Like I said, I think the Halloween Horror Nights he's part of. I do have one negative with this movie. I only have one. And it's not even like something to be taken super seriously, but it is something that should be addressed, and it has more to do with the time. In some spots, this movie didn't age as well as I would have liked it to. I watched it in the 4K remaster as well, so I think it shows a lot more. It's harder to hide things. Some of the green screen just didn't look that great, and really just shows its age. Even the stop motion, which I feel like Tim Burton is most known for his stop motion, especially with Nightmare Before Christmas. The stop motion they use in this movie just really isn't that good at all. The sandworms are completely stop motion, and they're just just not too great. That whole sandworm area when they have the desert scene and everything. That again, really cool idea, really cool concept. Just didn't age well. But you can just attribute that to part of the charm of this movie, I suppose. I think we're at that point where we're about to give our final scores. I'm going to give Beetlejuice an A+. This movie is a masterpiece. I'd argue it is Tim Burton's best movie. From beginning to end, I'm always enthralled when I watch it. I love the story. I love the characters. The humor gets me every time. It's unique. It's original. It's got everything I look for in a movie. It can be shared even with a younger age. They might get a little creeped out, but that's another conversation for another time, but it's never wrong to scare your kids a little bit. Just give them a little bit of a fright. This movie's amazing. I think you should check. If you haven't checked it out, what the heck are you doing? Go watch it right now. Yeah, there's not much to say. This movie is a masterpiece in my eyes. John, what are you going to give this movie?
I give this movie an A.
Go ahead. Make my millennium.
It's just one of those classic movies where, like you said, there's so many good things about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you into this movie and takes you through like this world of like what Tim Burton can really do with like his storytelling and everything. And I feel like this movie is just one of those classic ones that everybody definitely has to watch.
Yeah, like I said, Beetlejuice, it's readily available. Should be on streaming services. If you get a chance, check out the 4K release if you have access to a 4K Ultra HD player. The case is actually pretty cool. It's the Book of the Recently Deceased. It opens it up. It has like the instructions page with a piece of chalk to draw the door on the wall. Looks really great. It has a lot of cool extra features. If that's something you'd like to see us, maybe go into like some of these movies like releases. Maybe that's something we can, try to work out for extra videos in the future. Just let us know. But John, where can the people find us at home?
You can find us on YouTube, The Real Movie Guys on YouTube. When you type it in, we should come right up. We would also hope that you will subscribe to our channel, like our content, ring the notification bell so you can know when we put out other releases. We'll be doing a lot this month during horror and Halloween, everything frights. You can also follow us on Twitter at The Real Movie Guy. Sometimes we put things out. Sometimes we tell you when we're releasing stuff, so that will help you also. And we are on many podcasting platforms, such as...
Yes, for your listening pleasure, we are also available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen to any of those fine places. If you already are right now, hey, we greatly appreciate it. Just search Real Movie Guys, and we should pop right up. Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. This guy over here, he's John. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. And don't worry, there are more scares to come as Real Terror Month continues. We'll scare you next time.
See ya!